Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am going to start off this section with the very basic topic of navigation, which I preferably call as basic navigational calculus. In this section we will have 4 comprised videos whereby I will be teaching you the calculation of DLAT and DLONG and some related exercises to it. So when we start off the discussion, we should first know what is DLAT and DLONG. Now DLAT is difference in latitude and DLONG is difference in longitude. Now before moving forward, the very first thing which you should understand about these two is that they are a combination of magnitude and direction of movement. Now when I say that, there is a very basic dissimilarity, I should call it, between latitude and DLAT or longitude and DLONG. Suppose we write down latitude as 10 degrees north, and we also write down DLAT for the same value, say 10 degrees north. Now when you look at the very first instance on these two figures, they might look you very similar, but actually they are different in a sense. When you write down lat as 10 degree north, so what this is indicating is, suppose this is an earth, this is your equator. Now this 10 degree north is somewhere here. So now this indicates the number of degrees the latitude is before above this equator and in the northern hemisphere. So means a common reference for my latitude is equator. Whereby when you come down to DLAT, then what happens is it is indicating the reference with respect to any initial latitude. Now that latitude might be in the northern hemisphere or it might be in the southern hemisphere as well. So this is the basic difference between lat and DLAT. That latitude indicates the common reference as your equator. All the values for the latitudes are referenced to with the equator itself. While for DLAT they can be referenced to any initial latitude. As I said earlier, it might be in any hemisphere for that matter. Now similar aspect holds for your longitude and DLONG also. So the last statement which I want to make in this section is that when you are saying DLAT and DLONG, make sure the north, south or east, west that is written after the value of DLAT and DLONG has nothing to do or has no relation with respect to north, south, east, west written in front of latitude and longitudes. It is totally different. The north, south, east, west written with respect to lat and long is with respect to equator and a prime meridian respectively for lat and long. While north, south, east, west written with respect to DLAT and DLONG stands for some initial with reference to initial lat or initial long. So now I'll move on to DLAT individual examples. So suppose when I write down latitude A, that simply means initial lat. When I write down latitude B, it simply means final latitude. So suppose my latitude A is 10 degrees 20 minutes north and my latitude B is 30 degrees 40 minutes north. Now you need to calculate DLAT for it. So I would prefer we try to solve this by a figure because that helps us in understanding what is happening out in this sum. So suppose this is my earth. My reference, as I have discussed earlier, for latitude is equator. So this becomes my northern hemisphere, this becomes my southern hemisphere. Now my first lat is 10-20 north, so it will be somewhere here. Suppose this is my A. Another lat is 30-40 north, so it will be obviously above this A, because as you move away from 0, the values are increasing. So the higher value latitude will obviously be above the lower value latitude in this case. So this becomes my B. Now as I said, this is indicating direction of movement. So they are, DLAT and DLONG are combination of direction of movement and magnitude of movement. Means by how much are you moving and which direction you are moving on. So for the direction, what you can do, you can make arrows with respect to initial to final. Always while calculating DLAT and DLONG, you have to move from initial position to final position. So in this case, if you will make an arrow for this movement, the arrow will be like this. Now this arrow always indicates north. So means my direction for DLAT comes out to be north. Now I also need to calculate the magnitude of movement. So for magnitude of movement, I need to do simple mathematics, as in from 0 to A, this value is 10 degrees and 20 minutes. And similarly from 0 to B, this value is 30 degrees and 40 minutes. Now I need to calculate this. This is what is my DLAT which I need to calculate. So from this figure now it is clearly indicative that for calculating this, what you have to do, you have to subtract this value from this value, and then you will get this, that is your required DLAT magnitude. So you do the same here. 40 minus 20 will give you 20, 30 minus 10 will give you again 20. So now 20 degree 20 minutes becomes your answer for DLAT. I hope this sum is clear to you. I'll take another example for this. Now suppose latitude A is 15 degrees 30 minutes north and your latitude B is say 25 degrees and 45 minutes south. Now you need to calculate your DLAT for these two values. So again I'll go on the figure first. So this is my earth, this becomes my equator, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Now this is 1530 north, I draw it here. So this becomes my A. 2545 south, so obviously this will be somewhere here, this becomes my B. Now again direction of movement and then the magnitude of movement. So direction of movement always I have to go by the arrow as I told earlier. So from A to B it has to be always. So now this arrow comes out to be my southerly arrow. So my direction of movement becomes south for DLAT. Now I need to calculate again magnitude. So for magnitude I'll again apply mathematics. So from 0 to A this value is 15 degrees and 30 minutes, and from 0 to B this value is 25 degrees and 45 minutes. Now I need to calculate this. So from the figure itself it is very much clear, for calculating this value as DLAT I have to add these two values. So I do the same over here. So this comes out to be 15 and this comes out to be 41. So now this becomes my answer. I hope this method of solving DLAT and a basic understanding of DLAT and DLOG is clear to you by this video. In my next video, I hope to see you again. I will be discussing the calculation of DLOG in a similar manner. Till then, have fun, goodbye, take care.
If you have any questions or suggestions, please drop your comments below and we will get back to you at the earliest. If you like this video, please subscribe to Marine Insight channel and press the bell icon to get notified when we post such amazing videos. Please like, comment and share this video, and do not forget to subscribe to our channel.